Hi, this is Jacob Beauchamp, and in this video I'll be going over the Module 4 assignment and what I did for it. So to start off, this module looks a lot like my Module 3 in that it centers around this TIE fighter, but since this is the audio assignment, obviously there will be a bit of interesting stuff in here. So first off, starting with the requirement of the 2D sound engine, I've set up the system so that way when I press the T key like so, it will emit this chirp or ping, whatever you want to describe that sound as. This is a static sound since it's using the 2D engine, so this is independent of where I'm looking, where anything is positioned. This will always play at the same volume. However, if I press G, we'll notice already that that's a bit quieter. This is using the 3D engine, and that is being emitted specifically from the TIE fighter. So right now when we're facing at it, it doesn't seem all that different. However, if I turn roughly 90 degrees to the left, it should sound like it's more to the right side of us, as it is. If I turn to the right, it sounds more on the left side. If I look away from it, it should sound behind us. And if I look down, it should sound like it's coming from above and below if I look up. I can't really tell very well here because I'm using my speakers. But let's see. Since we have the actual positioning out of the way, the next part we want to deal with is the actual magnitude of the sound. So right now, the sound is not a great deal quieter than the original when I use the 2D. However, if I were to move it about that far, it's much less audible. I set the minimum distance before significant attenuation to be around 30 or so based on the IrrKlang API. I'm not entirely certain how that factors into how greatly attenuates over the entire distance, because right now, of course, it's around 230, but the attenuation magnitude, I guess, is a better descriptor than the distance, is set to be around 30. So that way we can still hear it, even when it's pretty far out. So if I put it all the way at 400, it's very faintly audible. Now if I return it, it's pretty loud again, but still a little bit quieter than the original because it still is a few units away from us. Now, the next thing I did is, of course, you can already tell from that little demo there, but the sound is based off of the position of the TIE fighter, and it updates in real time. So if I pick up the fighter here and get ready to send it off somewhere, we can hear, if I hold the F button, or not the F button, but the G button rather, it will continue to emit the pings over over time, like this. And we can sort of tell as the fighter is moving around that the sound is going with it. And it should be somewhere to our right. Oh, yep, there it is. I set it so that way in the actual update loop that handles where the actual position of the sound is, and I also had it handle some stuff for Doppler calculations, which I couldn't quite figure out. I made it so that way the sounds won't overlap over each other, so it will only start the next ping after the one prior to it has completed, so we don't have a lot of mangling overlap. So The last thing, which again isn't quite properly implemented, but something I feel like I should still mention, since it is at least somewhat functional, but just the scaling is clearly wrong, is I attempted to implement the Doppler effect, but I'm still not certain I'm understanding the API properly. So without further ado, let's get to the actual demonstration. So if I press F, it will toggle on the Doppler calculations. As we can see, the issue seems to be when it moves towards us from the front, the Doppler effect is clearly reversed since the frequency is actually lower as it approaches us. It seems to be more functioning off of the axes rather than the actual position of the viewer, which again is not correct, because just because it's moving in the positive Y direction doesn't mean it's moving towards the camera or anything like that. So that's my first attempt at that, but again, not quite working. But we still do have our positional sound engine as well as our static sound engine. So without further ado, that will be the end of the video. Have a nice day.